My child, pause. Breathe. Feel the weight of this moment not as a burden but as a confirmation. You have not stumbled here. You were summoned. Not by circumstance, but by destiny. Not by accident, but by alignment. Before the world named you, I knew you. Before your voice ever reached mine in desperate prayer, mine had already spoken over your life. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are standing in the threshold of fulfillment. And I, the Lord your God, have drawn you into stillness not to delay you but to define you. The world will measure you by movement. I measure you by surrender. The world will urge you to produce. I urge you to abide. In the days that seemed lost, I was writing lineage. In the hours of silence, I was establishing roots. And now, as the winds begin to shift and the pressure of hiddenness begins to lift, I speak not from the outside of your process but from within it. I saw the battles no one clapped for. I counted the tears that didn't make it into testimonies. I held you in the quiet when you wondered if I'd ever answer. And I did. I answered not with thunder, but with trust. I let time become your teacher and obscurity your womb. You wanted out. I wanted depth. You asked for release. I gave you refinement. You cried out for escape. I whispered endurance. And now, your cry is not the same, because you are not the same. You once begged me to remove the weight. Now you carry it with grace. You once feared the silence. Now you find me in it. You once wondered if your voice mattered. Now you know it's the echo of mine. You have died to old dreams. But resurrection always follows burial. The seed you thought had withered is breaking open. And the sound you now hear in the spirit is not thunder. It is breakthrough. Breakthrough doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it arrives in clarity, in quiet peace that overrides loud confusion. You've walked through layers of letting go, layers of not understanding. You've been stripped of performance and polished expectations, but not to make you less, to make you true. I needed the surface to crack so the oil could flow. I needed the outer to fade so the inner could be formed. This glory I'm pouring can't rest on pretense. It demands purity, not perfection, just posture. And your posture has moved me. My child, you have long obeyed me in the wilderness, and that obedience has now become your authority. Others will see the fruit, but I see the root. Others will hear the sound, but I hear the yes beneath it. The moment is not coming, it is already moving. And as I elevate you, I will not rush you, I will root you. You were not born for popularity, you were born for presence. You are not carrying hype, you are carrying holy. That's why it's been heavy. That's why it's been hidden. Because what is holy must first be protected before it is revealed. So now, as I unfold the next page, remember, this is not just a chapter. It's a commissioning. The season of proving has passed. The season of becoming has come. And I'm calling you to walk differently. You don't need to beg anymore. You need to believe. You don't need to hustle. You need to hear. You don't need to strive. You need to stay. Stay close. Stay anchored. Stay sensitive. You are not ascending by ambition. You are rising by alignment. I am surrounding you with peace, not because the war is over, but because you've won it within. The world may not have noticed your victory, but I did. Every silent surrender, every withheld retaliation, every private decision to stay soft when bitterness would have been easier, that was your warfare, and you won. You now wear strength without shouting, authority without applause, glory without needing validation. That's the mantle, and it fits you now. You cried in rooms they never saw, but now you will lead in rooms they never expected, not to prove them wrong, but to prove me right because I always knew who you were, even when you doubted, even when you flinched, even when the enemy tried to seduce you into performing for what was already yours. Now I speak peace over your pace. You don't have to chase the opportunity. You carry the assignment. And what is divine will find you without manipulation. Because I have marked you, not for clout, but for covenant. My child, this is the hour of distinction. I'm not only blessing you, I'm branding you, with heaven's handprint, with eternal evidence. So when they ask what happened, point them not to the spotlight, but to the altar. Let your language shift. Let your posture speak. Let your spirit walk lighter, not because the burden is gone, but because now you know what carries it. My grace. Grace for elevation. Grace for wisdom. Grace for rhythms that keep you whole. Grace for glory. You won't collapse. You've been built. You won't retreat. You've been raised. You won't apologize. You've been approved. So I say now with fire and affection, rise, child. Shine, vessel. Move, messenger. The time of hiding has ended. The hour of harvest has come. My child, now that you have stood still long enough to hear me, I need you to look again, not at the world, not at your past, not at your reflection distorted by fear, but through my eyes. Because you've worn too many names that didn't come from me. You've carried labels that were never spoken from heaven. You've answered to doubt. You've responded to rejection. You've adapted yourself for approval. But now I am stripping every false title, every broken narrative, every whispered lie, and I am restoring you to your original name, mine. You are not the failure others feared you would become. You are not the mistake shame tried to immortalize. You are not too much. You are not enough. You are exactly the measure I made in the fullness of my wisdom, with the fullness of my spirit. You are not your performance. You are not your pain. You are not your delay. You are my design, my decision, my delight. You've been walking heavy, not just from the battle, but from the identities you've collected, the ones disappointment gave you, the ones betrayal branded you with, the ones comparison carved on your soul. But I never called you late. I never called you less. I never called you forgotten. Those were the voices of earth. I speak from eternity. And I call you chosen. Chosen, not because you did it all right, but because you kept coming back. Not because you were fearless, but because you trusted me with your fear. I know you've struggled with the question, but why me, Lord? And I answer, because you said yes when it cost you everything, because you loved me in the dark, because you believed me without reward, because you obeyed without applause. That's what I needed. Not the loudest, not the strongest, just the one who would surrender. The world teaches performance. I honor posture, and your posture has reached my throne. So now I'm renaming what the world tried to distort. I'm calling out of you what pain tried to bury. You are not simply healed. You are whole. You are not simply restored. You are radiant. You are not simply surviving. You are significant. You were never the background. You were the blueprint. The others saw delay. I saw development. They measured your momentum. I measured your depth. They questioned your silence. I watched you be shaped in it. So I say again, look again, this time with my spirit. Look not at what fell apart, but at what I built within you during the falling. Look not at what you lost, but at what you gained in wisdom, in compassion, in truth. You are more than the version that walked into the fire. You are refined. You are defined. You are real. You no longer have to pretend strength. You are strong. You no longer have to borrow peace. You carry it. You no longer have to prove you are worthy. I have proved it with my blood. Now, my child, because you've returned to who I say you are, I can entrust you with more. Not just more visibility, but more weight. Not just more opportunity, but more authority. But I must speak plainly. This next level is not lighter, it's deeper. This mantle comes with motion, yes, but also with mercy. You will go farther, but not faster, because speed is not the sign of my spirit. Peace is. So walk slowly when the world rushes. Pause often when the noise rises, and return to the secret place before you respond. Your influence will not protect your identity. Your intimacy will. Let me remind you again as often as necessary, you are not what you produce. You are what I've placed my hand on. You are not what they approve. You are what I have appointed. You are not your last season. You are your next. I'm doing a new thing, not just around you, but inside you. And what I've placed in you will begin to overflow. Not from effort, from essence. You won't need to force the fruit. It will appear because your roots are real. The fruit will come from the stillness, not the striving. From your yes, not from your noise. So trust this. You don't need to market what I've mantled. You don't need to advertise what I've anointed. You don't need to push doors open that I've already commanded to swing wide. Let me speak to your striving heart. Rest. Rest, not in apathy, but in alignment. Rest, not in laziness, but in faith. Rest, because I am the one who builds. You are the one who abides. My child, you are now becoming the version of yourself I whispered to before your first breath. Not a copy, not a compromise, but the true you, the bold, bright, unfiltered version who walks in grace and truth. The you that doesn't flinch in spiritual warfare. The you that doesn't shrink in prophetic clarity. The you that carries peace, even when storms rage. I'm no longer just preparing you, I'm presenting you. Not to the world's stage, but to heaven's plan. This is not for applause. This is for impact. And your impact won't be from performance, it will be from presence. So stay anchored, stay aware, stay with me, because this is only the beginning. And what I unfold next will not be built on what you can achieve, but on what you have received. You have received my name, my spirit, my mantle, and this identity will not shift with circumstance. It will not be shaken by criticism. It will not crumble under pressure. You are mine and I am yours. My child, now that you've heard my voice echo in your stillness, and now that you've begun to wear your identity not with doubt but with dignity, it is time for you to understand the purpose of your rising. This elevation is not random. It is not sudden. It is not shallow. It is precise. It is the unfolding of my intent, the unlocking of divine strategy, written before time ever counted its first second. You are not simply being positioned for visibility. You are being aligned for assignment. You see, the world equates movement with meaning. But I work by alignment. Alignment is not speed, it is sync. And when your spirit walks in sync with my spirit, even your stillness carries more power than another's striving. You've asked me before, Lord, what is my purpose? And I answer you now. Your purpose is to reflect my presence, to carry my voice, and to release what you've received. This is not about platform. It's about purity. This is not about being impressive. It's about being obedient. Your assignment is not a performance to master. It's a presence to carry. The oil that flows from your life comes not because you learned the right words, but because you let me crush the old wineskin. You let me press what was unyielding. You said yes in the hidden place when no one knew the cost. And because you did not shortcut the crushing, I can now trust you with the weight. Do not look at others and wish for what they walk in. You don't know the price, and I have not called you to copy. I've called you to carry. You carry what is yours. You carry what is heaven designed. You carry what is needed in the rooms I'm sending you into. Every assignment begins with alignment. You must align your mind with my thoughts, your steps with my rhythms, your voice with my truth. And alignment doesn't begin in strategy. It begins in surrender. Let me lead. Let me shape your yes. Let me adjust your pace, not to delay you, but to prepare you. I have a blueprint, not just for what you do, but for how you do it. And the greatest fruit of your obedience will not be applause. It will be transformation. My child, do not mistake open doors as your only sign. I lead not just by opportunity, but by instruction. You will know it's me when you feel peace, even in unknown places. You will know it's me when your spirit feels a quiet clarity, even when logic says this doesn't make sense. You will know it's me when there is no pressure to prove, only the assurance that I've gone before you. So don't chase what looks promising. Stay with what feels pure. If I didn't breathe on it, don't carry it. If I didn't assign it, don't strive for it. I will send what's meant for you, and I will confirm it with clarity. Some doors are not wrong, they're just not yours. Some invitations are not distractions, they are tests. Tests not of your gifting, but of your grounding. Tests to see if you'll still choose me when the platform says, take me instead. Test to see if your voice stays sharp when comfort tries to dull it. Test to see if you remember who you are when the crowd applauds someone else. But don't fear these moments, because I've already hidden your approval in my voice. And once you've heard me say, well done, you will no longer be hungry for echoes. Now let me speak plainly. Your assignment is more than a role. It is a release. You are not stepping into a job. You are stepping into a divine function. You will speak, and atmospheres will shift, not because of eloquence, but because of anointing. You will walk into boardrooms and living rooms, sanctuaries, and street corners, and people will sense a presence they cannot explain. That presence is me, resting on you. I'm sending you into places religion wouldn't go. I'm using you in spaces that tradition cannot understand. Because your life isn't just a testimony, it is a tool to break chains, a tool to bring light, a tool to carry my fire into places where the cold has lingered too long. But my child, this fire must be stewarded, because while I am giving you access, I am also giving you instruction. Don't run with fire carelessly. Run with me. Let me temper your urgency with discernment. Let me shape your boldness with wisdom. Not every assignment will feel glamorous. Not every place I send you will celebrate you. But when you walk into the room with obedience, the fruit will follow, even if applause doesn't. You are not just called to do, you are called to be. Be a carrier of my voice, even in silence. Be a steward of my heart, even in conflict. Be a keeper of my pace, even when the world rushes. And when you live from being, the doing will flow. You will find yourself in rooms you never asked for because I prepared them before you prayed for them. You will be asked to speak in moments you didn't plan because I've been rehearsing you in the secret place for years. You will be trusted with influence, not because you sought it, but because you survived the season of invisibility with integrity. My child, let me give you a glimpse of what's ahead. You will carry revelation that interrupts cycles. You will carry joy that disarms despair. You will carry clarity that cuts through confusion. You will carry peace that breaks anxiety. You will walk with a weight that is not heavy but holy. You will bring order to places where chaos was normalized, not by controlling but by simply standing in who you are. You are not an echo. You are a voice. You are not just a light. You are a signal to the weary that rest still exists, a signal to the forgotten that I still see, a signal to the faithful that yes, I still fulfill. And when people ask you, what changed, you won't need to give them a formula. You will just smile and say, I aligned with God and He did the rest. Because that's what this is. Not a reward for hustle, a release for holiness, not a result of networking, a fulfillment of surrender, not an accident, a divine alignment. My child, now that you understand the weight of your identity and the alignment of your assignment, I must speak to what follows obedience. Influence, not the kind the world idolizes, but the kind I entrust. Not to impress others, but to impart me. You have asked me for impact. You have asked me to be useful for my kingdom. But I remind you, impact without intimacy is hollow, and usefulness apart from awareness is dangerous. So before I expand your reach, I must deepen your roots. Because the influence I'm giving you is not for applause, it's for atmosphere. It's not about followers, it's about freedom. And the freedom I'm releasing through you can only be sustained if you steward it well. You've seen what happens when gifting outpaces character. You've watched what it looks like when calling is elevated before consecration. That will not be your story, because I am building you to last. And what I build, I fortify. Not with walls, but with wisdom. Not with public defense, but with private devotion. Let me be clear, this influence is not the end goal. It's a means for glory. It's a tool for transformation. It's a window for me to shine through. You are not the source. You are the steward. And the oil that flows through your life cannot be contained by platform or popularity. It must be stewarded in posture. So let me teach you how to walk in influence without losing innocence. Let me teach you how to carry weight without growing weary. Let me teach you how to lead from rest, not pressure. First, protect your inner altar. Your private worship must always be greater than your public expression. Do not sacrifice your secret place for surface performance. Your most powerful moments won't be on a stage, they'll be on your knees. When influence comes, the temptation to perform will come too. The pressure to be everything to everyone, the pull to produce instead of abide. But remember this: you are not leading from your performance. You are leading from my presence. Stay close to me. That's how you'll stay clean. Because exposure does not build you, it tests you. When eyes turn to you, you must keep your eyes on me. That's how you remain safe. That's how you remain stable. That's how you remain set apart. I did not bring you through the wilderness to lose you in the spotlight. I didn't teach you to hear me in silence just to watch you drown in noise. I didn't break you open in the secret place just for you to cover yourself in image again. So guard the oil, guard your motives, guard your rhythm. The influence I'm giving you is pure, but it must be protected. And protection doesn't mean isolation. It means intentionality. Not every invitation is a door. Not every opportunity is an assignment. Not every connection is covenant. You must learn to listen past the language, to discern spirit over speech, to test the atmosphere before you trust the alliance, and I will help you. Because I don't just call you, I cover you. I don't just elevate, I equip. You don't have to be suspicious, just sensitive. Let peace be your compass. Let discomfort be your caution. Let silence be your sanctuary. My child, stewarding influence means knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Not every battle is yours. Not every question needs your voice. Let your life speak louder than your opinions. Let your fruit do the explaining. You are not responsible for convincing everyone. You are responsible for carrying me. And when you carry me well, I will be your vindication. There will be moments where your silence will be misunderstood. That's okay. I understand. And I will honor what you refuse to explain. You're not called to defend your every decision. You're called to obey me, and your obedience will outlive their opinions. Let me also remind you, stewardship includes your schedule. Do not trade sacred time for surface attention. Do not let urgency replace intimacy. The busier your life becomes, the more violently you must protect your stillness. Create. Space for me, not out of guilt but out of gratitude. Let me into your margins. Let me recalibrate your focus when distractions multiply. The enemy of your next season won't be obvious sin. It will be subtle noise, clutter that numbs your sensitivity, commotion that steals your clarity. But you can silence it all by returning to me. Let me be your rhythm again. Let worship be your reset. Let quiet become your strength. Because the more I give you externally, the more you must return internally. My child, I am not just giving you rooms to walk into. I am giving you the authority to shift them, and that authority flows from purity, not from eloquence, not from status, from a clean heart and a clear ear. Your words will carry weight because your heart has been weighed. Your silence will carry strength because your spirit is steady. You will speak and chains will break. You will whisper and fear will flee, not because of you but because you've been with me. So walk gently, walk boldly, walk with reverence. This influence is not your identity. It's your instrument, and you will play the melody of heaven with humility, with precision, with fire. Others may build for attention. You will build for glory. Others may chase moments. You will carry momentum. Because this is not temporary. This is eternal. What I've entrusted to you is sacred, and what you steward well I will multiply. My child, I'm not just trusting you with influence. I'm trusting you with my heart. So lead with love. Lead with truth. Lead with me, my child. Now that I've entrusted you with influence, now that you've begun to walk with a heart that knows my rhythm and ears that know my whisper, I must prepare you for the next reality of this elevation, warfare. Not the kind that announces itself with chaos, but the kind that creeps in subtly. The warfare that follows the whisper. The pressure that follows the promise. The tension that arises not because you're off course, but because you're precisely where I've called you. You must understand, elevation attracts attention, but not just the admiration of others. It draws the opposition of darkness. My child, this is why clarity matters more now than ever, because the battles you're about to face won't always look like battles. They will look like distractions, opportunities that stretch you beyond grace, invitations that seem honorable but dilute your oil, conversations that start with flattery but end in confusion. So let me anchor this within you. Everything that pulls you away from my presence is a threat to your purpose, not because I can't use you in the midst of chaos, but because clarity is your weapon now. I don't need you to fear the enemy. I've already defeated him, but I do need you to recognize his strategies. He won't tempt you with failure. He'll tempt you with busyness. He won't drag you into rebellion. He'll push you into exhaustion. Because a weary soldier is just as vulnerable as a wounded one. Let me say it simply. If the enemy can't seduce you, he'll try to scatter you. Scatter your thoughts. Scatter your priorities. Scatter your convictions until you're no longer clear, no longer sharp, no longer confident. But clarity is my gift to those who abide. Clarity that comes not from logic, but from presence. Not from strategy, but from stillness. And this is why you must guard your heart, not just from sin, but from noise. Because warfare in this season won't always be a storm. Sometimes it will be the subtle erosion of peace, the drip of discontentment, the whisper that you're not doing enough, the voice that says, you should be farther by now. But you know my voice, and I never lead with guilt. My child, when warfare comes, don't look for the dramatic. Look for the disruption. Where is your focus being pulled? Where is your peace being disturbed? Where is your pace being pushed? These are your indicators. Not everything is warfare, but everything must be weighed. Because peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of alignment. And when your spirit is aligned with me, even in pressure, you will find clarity. Even in uncertainty, you will find wisdom. Even in opposition, you will stand with calm authority. Let me also speak to the battlefield within, your emotions, because not all warfare comes from the outside. Some of the greatest battles happen within your own soul, the places where grief still lingers, the places where disappointment still whispers, the places where comparison knocks quietly, asking to be let in. You must tend to these places, not with shame, but with truth. You are not weak because you feel. You are not disqualified because you cry. You are not unspiritual because you wrestle with doubt. I am not intimidated by your humanity. In fact, that's where I meet you most clearly, in your rawness, in your vulnerability, in the places where performance has died and presence has been made your only lifeline. So when emotions rise like waves, don't suppress them. Bring them to me. Let me interpret your tears. Let me unravel your confusion. Let me remind you that your emotions are not your identity. They are indicators, not definitions. Let me be the filter through which you process your fears. Because I am not just your savior, I am your counselor. And I want to walk you through every inner storm until your heart is as calm as your voice. You will not be ruled by reaction. You will be led by revelation. Now let me teach you the difference between divine pressure and demonic pressure. Divine pressure is stretching with purpose. It aligns you. It deepens you. It makes room for more of me. Demonic pressure is urgency, without peace. It demands, it manipulates, it drains. One calls you higher, the other wears you out. You must ask in every new pressure, is this calling me closer to God, or is it pulling me into anxiety? Is this expanding my faith, or is it exhausting? My soul, if peace has left, I have not. Return to me. And in me, you'll find rest, not escape, but clarity. My child, remember, your strength is not in avoiding battle. It's in standing through it, and standing doesn't mean striving. It means staying rooted. It means refusing to let emotion decide what I've already spoken. It means being still when everything around you says move, and moving when I say go, even if your emotions disagree. That's what maturity looks like in warfare, not perfection, just posture. The enemy will come for your identity, your rhythm, your relationships, but he cannot touch what you keep surrendered, and I will fight for what you give to me. So let me fight. Let me speak. Let me lead you through the battlefield with discernment in one hand and peace in the other. Because you are not being elevated to escape warfare, you are being elevated to walk through it with glory. The oil I've placed on you will not just bless others, it will break chains, and that breaking will be contested. But you've already been prepared. This fire didn't start today. It was lit in your wilderness, and it's time now to let it burn, not with fear, but with authority. So speak when I say speak. Pray when I say pray. Pause when I say pause. And rest in me every step of the way. This is how you fight now, not with fists, but with faith, not with panic, but with peace, not with force, but with focus. And you will not be shaken, because I am not just walking with you, I am warring. For you, you are not a target, you are a threat. You are not barely surviving. You are breaking ground. You are not overwhelmed. You are overcoming. My child, now that you've stood steady through warfare, now that your heart has been fortified and your spirit trained to discern pressure from purpose, I want to speak to you about timing. My timing, because though the world runs by clocks, I move by kairos. My schedule is not set by your calendar, and my fulfillment is not delayed by human interference. What I begin, I finish. What I promise, I perform. and what I write in eternity cannot be erased by time. You have wrestled with waiting. You've watched others pass you. You've questioned the silence. You've mourned what felt like missed moments, but I tell you today, you have not missed me. You have been on schedule. You have not been delayed. You've been developed, because I never waste time. I use it every quiet year, every hidden day, every door that didn't open, every opportunity that passed. I was not ignoring you. I was building weight inside of you, because what I'm about to do through you requires more than visibility. It requires capacity. Let me tell you something sacred. I do not accelerate people who cannot sustain what I give. Acceleration without depth leads to collapse. Elevation without formation leads to exposure. You thought I was withholding. I was shielding. You thought I forgot. I was fortifying. You thought I was silent. I was securing your foundation. And now, because you let me build deep, I can move swiftly. The years that felt still were never stagnant. They were sacred. And now suddenly you will see the fruit. Yes, suddenly. Because when it's my time, things won't unfold. They will open. Doors won't need to be forced. They will swing wide. Conversations won't need to be orchestrated. They will align. People who once couldn't see your value will now be drawn to your voice, not because you changed your tone, but because I've changed their perception. This is the season where slow becomes swift. Not because you hustled, but because you trusted. This is the season where promises that tarried now tumble forward, one after another, like waves of glory breaking over your life. You have asked, Lord, will I recognize the moment? And I say, yes. You will know, not by the noise, but by the peace. My timing doesn't shout. It settles. When my favor falls, it won't create anxiety. It will create alignment. Your spirit will know it's me, the way the pieces connect, the way clarity returns, the way your pace no longer feels pressured but propelled. You will wake up one day and realize the doors have opened, not because you pushed, but because you've been positioned. And where others strive to stand, you will simply step. Where others fight to be seen, you will be called forward, because I don't elevate by hustle, I elevate by hand. Let me speak to the places in you that still feel behind. You are not late. You are not lesser. You are not lost. You are right on heaven's rhythm. The things you thought you missed, if they were mine, they will return. But not the same. They will come back full of favor, clothed in purpose, rich with meaning. I am not restoring moments. I'm redeeming years. I'm gathering what was scattered. I'm multiplying what was meager. I'm resurrecting what looked buried. Because nothing surrendered to me dies in vain. My child, let me also prepare you for the weight of favor, because favor feels light to the world. But to the faithful, it carries responsibility. You will be seen differently now, not because you changed, but because you were revealed. People will begin to draw close, not to flatter, but to follow. They will want your oil, not just your words. They will come for insight, not just inspiration. You must stay anchored or you will drift with the current of attention. You must stay low or you will float with the pull of pride. Favor is not proof of your greatness. It is proof of my goodness. Keep your eyes on me, or the weight of others' opinions will distract you from the direction of my spirit. Let me say this clearly. Do not apologize for the favor I've placed on your life. Do not shrink. Do not diminish. Do not disqualify yourself. In rooms I've called you to lead. You are not a visitor in the spaces I've opened. You are sent, you are not filling a gap. You are fulfilling a word. So stand with grace. Speak with clarity. Move with fire. But always return to the secret place, because what I give in public must be sustained in private. And as acceleration begins, learn to walk with wisdom. Not every opportunity will be my invitation. Not every platform will carry my presence. You must discern not only what is open, but what is ordained. I will lead you with peace. When your spirit is quiet, move. When it is disturbed, pause. I will give you the yes. I will give you the no. But you must stay close enough to hear both. This is how you move in step with my wind, not ahead of it, not behind it. Just in flow. My child, this is divine timing. Not rushed, not delayed, but right, on, time. So let go of the guilt. Let go of the pressure. Let go of the need to match someone else's pace. You are not in a race. You are in a revelation, and what I'm unfolding now will not only redeem your time, it will multiply your fruit. You will look back on the long years and see them not as lost seasons, but as hidden chapters of divine strategy, and you will declare, it was worth the wait. My child, now that you are walking in timing and not tension, alignment and not anxiety, I must begin to speak to your hands, not only what they carry, but what they will leave behind. Because elevation is not the end of your journey, it's the beginning of your legacy. And I have not brought you into this moment merely to succeed. I have brought you here to build. What I'm doing through your life is not just for now, it is for generations. What I'm birthing through your obedience will outlive your voice. It will echo through lives you'll never meet and seeds you'll never see sprout. But they will bloom because you said yes. Let me speak this truth into your spirit. You are not simply called to be fruitful. You are called to multiply. Fruitfulness is the evidence of your faithfulness. Multiplication is the evidence of your surrender. Fruit is what I give you in reward. Legacy is what I entrust to you as responsibility. I have watched you sow in pain, plant in silence, cultivate in hiddenness. And now the harvest is not just for your table. It is for the nations. It is for those who hunger for truth, for those who've never seen real surrender modeled, for those who will find me because they first found you faithful. You are not just a servant. You are a vessel. You are not just anointed. You are an answer. You are a blueprint for those still navigating confusion. You are a voice for those who have lost theirs. You are a builder, not of empires, but of altars. And these altars will not be made of stone, but of moments, conversations, choices, integrity, compassion, wisdom, surrender. Your life will become a map because you dared to let me take you the long way. So now I ask you, what are you building? And who are you building it for? If you build for applause, it will crumble in silence. If you build for relevance, it will expire with trends. But if you build for me, it will stand forever. You are not called to chase culture. You are called to anchor it. You are not called to entertain the crowd. You are called to shape the remnant, and the remnant does not need more inspiration. They need instruction. They need substance. They need someone who has walked through fire and still sings, someone who has suffered and still serves, someone who can carry revelation without contamination. You are that someone. And now, because you have endured, I am giving you the grace to multiply. Multiply peace, not pressure. Multiply truth, not trend. Multiply intimacy, not image. Multiply depth, not noise. Let the ones who come after you find it easier to hear me, because you paved the way through wilderness and war and made room for glory. My child, multiplication starts with what you give away. Do not hoard the oil, pour it. Do not gatekeep the wisdom, share it. Do not bury your story. Tell it truthfully, humbly, and fully. You don't need to make yourself the hero. Just tell of the one who held you when you were falling apart. That is your power. That is your legacy. Others will look at the fruit and want your harvest. But your legacy will not be what you gathered. It will be how you gave. Give freely, give generously, give boldly, because I never run out. And what you pour, I will replenish. Let me speak now to the ones around you, the ones I'm sending to your side, the ones your life will multiply through. You will not build alone. You will not labor in isolation. I'm sending sons and daughters not by blood but by spirit. People who will carry your heart. People who will rise because of your wisdom. People who don't just want your platform. They want your posture. Teach them well. Teach them slowly. Teach them through example, not just instruction. Let your scars become blueprints. Let your healed places become testimonies. Let your lessons become legacies. This is the generation that will walk farther because you didn't rush the journey. They will climb higher because you didn't skip the process. They will see clearer because you kept the flame burning when darkness tried to smother it. My child, what you build now is not temporary. It is eternal. You are not just planting ideas. You are planting eternity into hearts. You are not just releasing messages. You are releasing mantles. And what you carry is contagious, not by charisma, but by conviction. Because conviction burns deeper than charisma ever could. And it is conviction that will endure long after applause fades. So burn brightly, burn humbly, burn without fear. Because the light I've kindled in you is not meant for stages only. It is meant for homes, for hearts, for everyday moments where no cameras roll but eternity watches. Now, my child, let me give you a glimpse of what's ahead. You will build what others thought was impossible. You will restore what others gave up on. You will release what others tried to contain. You will multiply not through striving, but through surrender. And the legacy of your life will not be the number of people who follow you, but the number of people who follow me because of you. Let them say of you, this one walked with God. This one loved well. This one built with heaven in mind. Let that be your echo. Let that be your reward. Let that be your legacy. Because the highest honor is not what people remember. It's what I remember. And I will remember this. You were faithful. You were pure. You were surrendered. You were mine. My child, now that I've brought you into legacy, not as an idea, but as a lifestyle, I must speak to what sustains it. Because the glory that rests on your life is not upheld by performance. It is upheld by rest. You've learned to press forward in pain. You've learned to stand firm in warfare. You've learned to discern through distraction. But now I want to teach you how to last, how to remain, not just as a vessel of power, but as a sanctuary of peace. Because power without rest will eventually collapse. Glory without rest will eventually fade. Let me ask you gently, when did you last breathe without bracing? When did you last sit in my presence without a plan? You've carried so much, my child. You've led through seasons that drained you. You've poured when you needed to be filled. You've walked into rooms with strength when no one saw the weakness trembling behind your eyes. But I did. And now I say this, not as rebuke, but as invitation. Come rest. Not after the assignment. Within it. Rest is not what follows the work. Rest is the soil that feeds it. Rest is the womb where revelation is born, where clarity finds its voice, where your spirit is refilled with the rivers of life that cannot be sourced by anything but me. I did not design you to run endlessly. I designed you to flow, and flow requires rhythm, and rhythm requires rest. Not laziness, not apathy, but intentional stillness. The stillness where your soul exhales. The stillness where your spirit recalibrates. The the stillness that silences performance and awakens presence. You've learned how to lead. Let me now teach you how to lie down. Let me lead you beside quiet waters. Let me restore your soul. Not just because you're tired, but because you're becoming. My child, you must stop treating rest like a reward. It is not a luxury for the strong. It is the foundation for the called. Even in creation, I modeled this. I worked, then I rested. Not because I was weary, but because the cycle was sacred. The rhythm was holy. You are not more effective when you're running on empty. You are not more anointed when you're burnt out. You are not more faithful when you never pause. You are most powerful when you are most present. And presence requires space. So create it. Make rest part of your warfare. Make stillness part of your strategy. In the silence, I will whisper solutions. In the quiet, I will reveal next steps. In the calm, I will download clarity. The world moves fast, but I move deep, and depth cannot be rushed. So unplug, unclench, unburden. Return to the pace of grace. You do not need to earn your place. You do not need to outrun your doubts. You do not need to perform to remain useful. You are already mine. You are already chosen. You are already in position. Rest is how you prove to your soul that I am enough. Rest is how you teach your spirit that success is not your sustainer. Rest is how you remind the world that your identity is not in your schedule, your output, or your status. It's in me. So sit. Let me wash your feet. Let me hold your burdens. Let me restore the parts of you that have gone quiet from carrying weight you didn't even realize you picked up. My child, you don't need to apologize for needing rest. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. Even the strongest flame will burn out without oil. Even the most faithful servant must pause to be filled again. Even Jesus, my beloved Son, withdrew from crowds. He climbed mountains not just to minister, but to be ministered to abide, to breathe, to be. You are not greater than the rhythm I gave him, and so now I say, withdraw, not to disappear, but to deepen. This kind of rest is not escape. It is engagement with me at the level no room, no platform, no audience can offer. I want to restore your laughter. I want to bring back wonder. I want to reawaken awe in your spirit. Not awe at what I do through you, but awe at what I am within you. You've been so focused on becoming that you've forgotten you're already beloved. You've been so caught in movement that you've lost the melody of stillness. Let me sing it over you again. You are not what you carry. You are not what you conquer. You are not what you complete. You are what I call mine. That is enough, and that is rest. Rest is not the end of your mission. It is the strength for your continuation. When you rest, you reset your ears to hear me again. When you rest, you unhook your identity from expectation. When you rest, you create room for joy to visit, not just as a guest, but as a resident. Joy is not something you find when you finish the task. Joy is something I give you in the middle of it, and you will need joy to endure. Because joy is not just a feeling, it is a weapon. My child, I'm not calling you into balance, I am calling you into rhythm. Balance tries to carry everything at once. Rhythm walks with me, moment by moment. Balance leaves you performing. Rhythm lets you breathe. I never asked you to hold the world. I asked you to walk with me. So take my hand again. Slow your steps. Feel my pace. Let peace set your pulse. Let stillness become your strategy. Let rest become your power. My child, now that rest has recentered your spirit, and my rhythm has reclaimed your pace, I must now speak to what rests upon you. Authority. Not the authority of title, but the authority of trust. not of volume but of weight, not of position but of presence, because true authority isn't something you take, it's something you're entrusted with. And I have entrusted you not because you demanded but because you surrendered. You've been faithful with private obedience. Now I'm releasing public oil. You've submitted in secret. Now I'm releasing authority in the open. But understand this clearly, authority is not power over people, it is alignment with heaven. It is not granted because you speak louder. It is confirmed because you've listened longer. Authority is not just about what you say, it's about what your life carries. And you, my child, now carry the weight of my word, the weight of my glory, the weight of my heart. And this authority cannot be counterfeited. It cannot be replicated, because it is born not in the spotlight, but in the fire, not in applause, but in abandonment. Let me tell you where this authority comes from. It comes from the nights you stayed, the days you wrestled, the silence you endured, the prayers you whispered when your strength was low and your answers were few. It comes from what no one saw, but I counted every moment. Because you said yes in the fire, I now say yes to your feet. Go where I send you. Speak what I whisper. Carry what I pour. You won't have to force your way in. You'll be recognized, not by name, but by nature. The spirit in you will bear witness. The oil on you will make room. The presence around you will shift atmospheres, not because of you, but because I am dwelling within you. My child, maturity is what has prepared you for authority. You don't crave validation like you used to. You don't cling to opinions like you once did. You've learned the value of silence. You've learned that your yes doesn't need an audience to be powerful. You've learned that obedience has more weight than visibility. This is what makes you trustworthy. You've been refined, not just for leadership, but for legacy. I'm not just placing you in rooms. I'm entrusting you with the spiritual climate of those rooms. I'm not just sending you into moments. I'm assigning you as a mantle carrier in places others couldn't last. And now you will not just speak as one who knows about me. You will move as one who hosts me. This is the authority of the mature. Not arrogance, not control, but a heart that has been broken and rebuilt by me. You don't need to demand attention. You don't need to prove your calling. You don't need to announce your arrival, because your walk speaks, your posture speaks, your fruit speaks. You are not the same person that once doubted everything I placed in you. You are not the wounded one who needed constant reassurance. You are now rooted not in confidence of flesh, but in communion with me. Let me show you what this new level of authority looks like. You will walk into a room and peace will follow. You will speak and chains will fall, without performance, without pressure, without manipulation. You will carry wisdom that confuses the proud and heals the humble. You will recognize demonic patterns not through suspicion, but through discernment. You will speak into confusion and bring alignment. You will look into someone's eyes, and they'll feel my presence before a word is spoken. This is not mystical. It is holy. It is what happens when a life becomes a resting place for my spirit. You have become my sanctuary, my dwelling, my place of release. And this is why the warfare was so fierce. Because the enemy saw what was forming in you before you fully did. He tried to break you, not to stop your gift, but to shatter your trust. He tried to distract you, not to remove your voice, but to cause you to doubt its authority. But you stayed. You worshipped. You stood in trembling and still believed, and now you are marked, not by trauma, but by truth. Not by fear, but by fire. Not by striving, but by stewardship. So walk in this authority with humility. Do not return to insecurity. Do not bow again to fear. Do not speak as if you are guessing. Speak with conviction. Not because you're perfect, but because you've been purified, and speak not to be heard, but to bring healing. My child, maturity has taught you that louder is not always stronger. That impact is not always immediate. That fire is not always felt. It is sometimes simply known. You don't have to shout when your spirit is settled. You don't have to push when your peace has already opened the way. And you will walk in rooms with a stillness that confuses hell and confirms heaven. Let me remind you, you are not too much. You are not too late, you are not behind. You are mature now, not because you've arrived, but because you've endured. And maturity has brought you to this moment, not to impress, but to impart. Now I will stretch your hands. I will expand your influence. I will increase your reach. But it will not crush you, because your identity is not tied to the reach. It is tied to the root. Stay rooted. Stay quiet when I ask you to be. Speak when I breathe on your voice. Move only when my spirit moves. Because this is the posture of those who carry me. My child, the authority I'm placing on you is not temporary. It is eternal. And it's not for performance, it's for people. It's not for applause, it's for awakening. You are not just a speaker. You are a carrier of breakthrough. You are not just a leader. You are a keeper of divine blueprint. You are not just anointed. You are appointed for this generation, for this hour, for this harvest. So walk in authority, but walk softly. Walk boldly, but walk humbly. Walk in wisdom, but never forget, you are mine. My child, now that you have been shaped by fire, steadied by rest, and clothed with authority, I speak, now not to your past, not even to your present, but to your future. You are ready, not because you've mastered the journey, but because you've allowed me to master your heart. Not because you've figured it all out, but because you've let me form you in places where knowledge could not reach, only surrender could. And now I send you not just to walk, but to release. Not just to show up, but to shift atmospheres. Not just to speak words, but to embody my presence. You are not a messenger who repeats information. You are a vessel who releases revelation. You will walk with fire and speak with oil. You will move through rooms that once rejected you, not to retaliate, but to redeem. You will be light in places where the flame had flickered low. You will be proof that brokenness is not the end, but the beginning of glory. So hear me now, my child, as I commission you. Go, not in your own strength, but in mine. Go with clean hands and a burning heart. Go not to make a name, but to make a difference. Go not to gather applause, but to scatter seed. Go not for image, but for impact. Go not because you are ready by man's standards, but because you are yielded to mine. You are not a product of performance. You are a product of presence. You are not going in alone. You are being sent. Let me speak clearly. This is not a season. This is ascending. I am not giving you moments. I am entrusting you with movements. The things I once whispered in shadows, I now shout over you in light. The things I formed in silence, I now commission in sound. The oil that flowed in the secret place will now overflow in every space you step into, not because of you, but because of me within you. My child, walk forward without apology. You do not need to diminish to fit their comfort. You do not need to soften what I've made strong. You do not need to qualify what I've already confirmed. If I sent you, they will see. If I anointed you, they will feel. If I called you, the fruit will testify, even if your voice remains soft. Let me be the one who proves what I've placed in you. Let me vindicate your process with power. And when the days feel heavy, remember this. You were not lifted for fame. You were lifted for fulfillment. You were not promoted to perform. You were positioned to pour. I am not building platforms under you. I am establishing altars around you. altars where the lost will weep and find mercy, altars where the weary will breathe again, altars where the broken will see that beauty still rises from ashes. Because you didn't quit in the middle, I will now multiply what you carry at the end. Let me speak to the nations you will touch, not always with presence, but with your prayer, with your words, with your quiet obedience, with your persistent love. You will speak in boardrooms and basements. You will whisper life into callings that were collapsing. You will write things that unlock chains. You will worship and the air will change, not because of volume, but because of intimacy. You will release peace in hospitals, hope in homes, freedom in places where silence used to scream. This is what it means to be sent, to carry me into the places that once seemed unreachable, and now they are reachable through you. Because you are not just being sent as a person. You are being sent as a place where my spirit dwells. You are a walking altar, a moving sanctuary, a living word of my faithfulness. You don't bring answers, you bring access. Access to my presence, access to my kindness, access to the God who still sees, still speaks, still sends, and I will go before you. I will walk beside you. I will speak through you. I will surround you. I will uphold you. I will honor you, not for your sake, but for my name's sake. You are not responsible for the outcome. You are responsible for the obedience. Let me carry the rest. My child, let me say again what I whispered at the beginning. You were never late. You were always mine. All of heaven has watched you become. Now it will watch you move. You are a sign. You are a wonder. You are a fulfillment in motion. So go, with grace in your hands, with oil on your head, with fire in your eyes, with my name on your tongue, with my glory in your shadow. You are not finished. You are just beginning, and what's coming will not be hard to recognize, because everything about your next chapter will carry one undeniable mark. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Psalm 118:23. Amen. Go now, my beloved. Go and become everything I always knew you would be.